Well, we thank God we are back. We are going to go into testimony time. Shortly after I do the announcement that I wish to share with you, those who wish to join us on the Zoom platform, even using our WhatsApp number, send the word testimony to our email for the testimony program, which shall shortly be appearing on the screen. So those who want to join us on the Zoom, you may start to send that email, or if you have already done so, communicate with our media team, and they are going to guide you on how to join. But I do have some utterance to make today, this afternoon. It is a prophetic utterance. It is a prophetic utterance that affects our nation of Zimbabwe. It is titled Ahithophel's Counsel. It's a prophecy. It is titled Ahithophel's Counsel. So there was an insurrection that happened in David's kingdom, which was orchestrated by Absalom, his son. He was not the firstborn, but he was one of his elder sons. Before Absalom's rebellion, David had a counselor. David had an advisor. His name was Ahithophel. The Bible in 2 Samuel 15, verse 10, what does it say?
But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigns in Hebron.
So it amazes Brother Nelson that even those who rebel, who have people willing to advance their agenda, he has men who are taking orders and instructions from him. They are spies. They are spies. So I wish to announce now that the Zimbabwean political landscape has never been as toxic as it is now. It has never been as toxic as it is now. There's so many scheming and plotting and planning, and so many revelations that may come in the distant future, and others may come later. Some are going to be revealed even after our time. The plotting and the planning. David is the anointed king, ordained of God to be the king of Israel, but David is aging he is urging Absalom is not the crown prince. Absalom is not the crown prince. I will repeat, Absalom is not the crown prince.
Yes.
There is no plan in God that Absalom should ascend to the throne. But he is a prince. He is a son of a king.
Yes.
What happens when a prince tells himself and declares that he is now the heir apparent? What happens? What happens when the son of a king tells himself that he wants to be king? So Absalom rebelled. Verse 11, what does it say?
And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything.
The 200 men were called by Absalom. They didn't know why he called them. They went there in their simplicity, in other words, in their ignorance.
Yes.
Yes.
And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileadite, David's counselor,
The Gilonite.
the Gileadite, David's counselor.
So
from his
Ahithophel,
city. Yes.
Ahithophel was David's advisor.
Yes.
David's chief advisor.
Yes.
What happened? Ahithophel was summoned also
Yes.
by Prince Absalom
Yes.
from his city, even from Gilo,
Yes.
where he offered sacrifices, and the conspiracy was strong,
Yes.
for the people increased continually with Absalom.
Yes.
This is why I wanted to talk about this. There is strengthening of a conspiracy.
Yes.
There is a conspiracy that is getting stronger and stronger. It's getting stronger and stronger, to the extent that when you look at Absalom, you will not see a king, but you are going to start to believe that he is meant to be king on the basis of the caliber of people who are rallying behind him.
Yes.
That is what I'm talking about. If you listen to utterances of people who are respected in the society, they are going to start to endorse Absalom.
Yes.
Even Ahithophel, a trusted advisor to David,
Yes.
he also was seduced. I am using this word carefully. Ahithophel was seduced to support Absalom. Now, make no mistake about it, Ahithophel at no point did he ever think that he has a chance to becoming president himself. This was not a constitutional democracy, neither was it an empire. It was a monarch, a system of a monarch government
Yes.
ordained by God.
Yes.
For you to reign, you needed to be the crown prince, the heir apparent, a legitimate son to the king on the throne.
Yes.
Ahithophel was not a son of David. He could never have imagined himself sitting on the throne.
Yes.
My question, which is prophetic, I want you to listen to this question. We may not live to see this question answered, some of us. My question is, what could Ahithophel gain from supporting Absalom? The office that he holds already is the highest office.
Yes.
He is the trusted advisor to the king.
Yes.
What could Absalom offer to Ahithophel that he doesn't have already? Is Ahithophel a good advisor, a wise advisor? So, What happened? Verse 13.
And there came a messenger to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom.
Yes.
And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword.
So as a king,
Yes.
he was always considering and worried about the safety of his people.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also want to ask this question to Zimbabweans. How could he keep such a son in the palace, knowing very well the character of Absalom? As a father who raised Absalom,
Yes.
David was Absalom's father.
Yes.
He could have said, I will go and talk to my son.
Mm-hmm.
I will reason with him.
Yes.
This is not just a national embarrassment.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very, very dangerous precedent.
Yes.
This is going to unsettle our nation. Our economy is going to be affected. Our peace is going to be affected. If I can't convince him to abandon this madness, I would rather surrender the throne to him peacefully than for me to run. David never tried to reason with his son. He never tried. The Bible says the messengers came to David. They said the hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him, arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword.
Yes.
Let us run quickly. My son, I know him, I raised him. When he considers that he wants to do something, no one can talk to Absalom and stop him.
Yes.
It's a waste of time, my generals. Let's run. Let's leave quickly.
Yes.
My question is, such a man who will not listen to anyone, why keep him close to the throne of power like that? Was it not a mistake
Yeah.
to keep Absalom in the palace
Yes.
with such arrogance? Is he not a dangerous man?
Yeah.
This man is hungry for power.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
you may also need to understand that his elder brother Amnon had died.
Yes.
He suddenly told himself that he was now the crown prince. This is not a good thing. But he was not the second born of David, so the death of Amnon was not going to naturally make him the crown prince.
Yes.
For the avoidance of doubt, when God finally chose an heir apparent among David's sons, God chose Solomon,
Yes.
who was the youngest, one of the youngest of his sons.
Yes.
God could never have allowed Absalom to sit on the throne.
Yes.
All right, so this is what happened. We were reading from 2 Samuel chapter 15.
From
Yes.
verse 10. we are
Let's now
on verse
read
15.
verse number 31.
And one told David, saying,
So as David left the palace and he ran
Yes.
to go into the wilderness, fleeing from his own son.
Yes.
What happened?
Ahithophel is among the conspirators.
One told David, saying, your advisor, Ahithophel,
Yes.
is among the conspirators with Absalom. Yes.
And David said,
And what did David say?
O Lord,
Oh Lord,
I pray thee,
I pray thee.
turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness.
This is what I'm going to talk about imi Mwari makarurama. But let's look at 2 Samuel 16:23 to just have an idea of how brilliant Ahithophel was.
Yes.
I have already stopped talking about Absalom.
Yes.
I am now talking about Ahithophel
Ahithophel.
because the prophecy is about Ahithophel.
Yes.
But we wouldn't understand Ahithophel without looking at the Absalom insurrection.
Yes.
It was the Absalom insurrection that the intelligence, the wisdom of
Yes.
Ahithophel came into light.
Yes.
But we see now, Pastor Aaron, from verse 31,
Yes.
when a man came to David to tell him,
Yes.
your own personal advisor,
Advisor.
he has left you, is now supporting a rogue son.
Yes.
David did not speak to that man who spoke to him. He spoke to God.
Yes.
He said, oh Lord, I pray thee, turn the wisdom, the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness.
Yes.
Wasn't David asking God to invert Ahithophel's brains?
That was.
2 Samuel 16:23.
Yes.
And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom.
So Israel knew that the king very much depends
Yes.
on the wisdom of Ahithophel.
Yes.
He spoke like God himself. The advice of Ahithophel in those days, you should never forget,
Yes.
in those days,
Yes.
it seemed to be like the oracle of God.
Yes.
Very, very brilliant man. Very, very informed of everything happening in the world.
Yes.
This is Ahithophel for you. He was not an ordinary advisor.
Yes.
If you spoke to Ahithophel, he would speak like an oracle of God.
Yeah.
So let's find out from verse 20, since Ahithophel was seduced to support a rebellious Absalom, then, of course,
Yes.
Absalom, after taking over power from his
Yes.
father,
Yes.
Absalom spoke to Ahithophel, you know, I'm now president. David has left the palace. Tell me what I can do to consolidate my power.
Yes.
Let's hear what happened in verse 20 and up to 22.
Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, give counsel among you what we shall do.
Tell me how I can consolidate my power.
Yes.
Now I have risen onto the throne.
Yes.
And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, go in unto thy father's concubines, which he had left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong.
So David left 10 of his mistresses in the city.
Yes.
Ahithophel's oracle sound advice to Absalom was, sleep with all your father's mistresses.
Yes.
When you do that, your father shall hate you, and that will force your soldiers to be strong, so that they may want to go and pursue David.
Yes.
They know there is no going back. The king is never going to forgive you. So in that manner, you shall consolidate power. To encourage your soldiers, your men to fight,
Yes.
you need to show them that you have no regard whatsoever towards your father.
Yes.
The only way to do that is to sleep with his mistresses. Verse 22.
So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel.
This is what happened.
Yes.
This is what happened. So Absalom was taught and was counseled to sleep with his father's concubines.
Yes.
10 of them on top of the roof.
Yes.
He invited the whole country to watch it. That was the advice of Ahithophel. There are people who want to know what happened to Ahithophel. When Ahithophel advised Absalom for the second time, Absalom rejected Ahithophel's advice. What happened in chapter 17, verse number, let's see,
From 23.
from 23.
Maybe.
Okay, let's read verse 14 first.
All right. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord has appointed to for the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom.
Verse 23.
And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and get him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order.
He was a very organized man. He updated his will. He spoke to his wife and bade them farewell.
Yes.
What did he do?
And hanged himself
He hanged himself
and died,
and died.
and was buried in the sepulchre of his father.
Ahithophel killed himself. He was just disappointed
Yes.
that the new king Absalom had rejected his advice.
Yes.
It grieved him to the extent that he decided to kill himself.
Hey.
So this is Ahithophel for you. When David spake, he said, Lord, I pray thee, turn the wisdom, the
Yes.
advice of Ahithophel into foolishness. My question is, does the king know that Absalom has also seduced Ahithophel? The Bible in verse 31 of chapter 15, it said, one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators
Yes.
with Absalom. If the king was told by nobody, he would still continue to ask advice
Yes.
from a man who is also turned against him. Who is Ahithophel? How many Ahithophels do we have in Zimbabwe? Does the king know that the heart of Ahithophel is no longer with him? What is the cost of not knowing that Ahithophel has gone rogue? For how long shall the king continue to ask advice from Ahithophel, who is now supporting Absalom? Zvino kana vana Dhavhidhi chaivo vanga vachinzi naMwari, murume ari pamwoyo paMwari, vachipandukirwa ne-a trusted advisor, vana Pungu vachapandukirwawo kangani? Vana Pungu vachapandukirwawo kangani? So I'm still talking about Ahithophel. Another day, I will talk about Hushai the Archite. This prophecy is not over. I shall talk about Hushai the Archite. This prophecy shall need to clarify Hushai the Archite as well. If you want to know, you can continue to know. But this is what I want to say. This is what I want to say. Zimbabweans don't like me, some of them. We do have Zimbabweans who listen to us. We do have Zimbabweans who depend on our advisement.
Yes.
We speak the counsel of God. We don't seek to to appear on the television, the state television. We don't seek to be invited to the palace. We don't seek to be invited to the banquets, to the royal banquets. We just speak from God. We also live in the palace ourselves. We live in a spiritual palace. We don't covet the palaces of corruptible men. That's why we don't fret. We speak boldly the counsel of God with wisdom, with knowledge, and with instruction. There is a woman who has been sexually abused. This woman is called Zimbabwe. What happens is, so many times this woman is lying down. Different men have violated her for a very long time, continuously, ruthlessly, to the point that she could have died because she was also bleeding profusely. This woman was then visited by those who appeared to be sympathizing with her. What happens if it then later gets revealed that those who are trying to help this woman stand on her feet, get some medical attention and get home, are also discovered to be friends of those who abused her? This woman, is she not trusting a wrong generation of people to deliver her out of this misery? Every time she sees somebody coming to where she's lying, unattended and neglected, people speak soft words and say, "We promise to help you heal your wounds." But before the day ends, they also start to abuse her. They start by accusing those who abused her at first. They promise her that they are going to be different. But in the process of all those conversations, they also abuse her. Is she not too trusting? How long shall this woman continue to be abused? The people of Zimbabwe, I really sympathize with you. I really sympathize with you. I just hope that God is going to save this woman by giving her strength. Perhaps He's going to send genuine people to try and help this woman. This woman who is being sexually abused is Zimbabwe. I'm not, this is not a proverb, it's clear. I talked to you, Zimbabwe, some time ago, and I said the state of Zimbabwe is being represented by Mary Mbaiwa's state today. I said that.
Yes.
There's no more need for me to speak in parables about this. We already have a parable interpreted about Zimbabwe. My issue today is about the naivety of this woman. She's wounded, she's beaten, she's battered. But she trusts too quickly and too soon. Is this not our greatest demon that is haunting us? Why are we not waking up to ask questions and to see, to read between the lines and tell whether we actually have genuine people who want to redeem Zimbabwe from where it is today? So this woman is trying to stand up and she can't. And there's a man who comes and says, give me your hand. I want to help you stand up. By the time the woman stands up, both her legs are tied by a rope. The abuse continues. For how long shall this woman be naive? And I want you to know that God understands the state of abuse that this woman has gone through, and that she no longer has the power to say no. And this is the greatest tragedy. Some revelations are going to come, and Zimbabweans are going to be disappointed by such revelations, because some of the people that you hope on are going to be fingered in very dirty matters. Just get ready for those disappointments. They are coming. But as a man of God, of course, I will not talk and leave everyone happy because on the basis of the things that I say. I'm not. If you want if you want to get happy, buy ice cream. Watch a movie. I am not going to make you happy. That's not my job. My job is to speak the mind of God. If you wanted to give me something, stop. If you wanted to greet me, stop. I will still speak. I am not paid by anyone to say anything. I am a freelance preacher.
Yes.
I owe nobody any favors. There are no sacred cows in my work. If I talk to you on Monday and God sends me to speak about you on Tuesday, I will not call you and tell you that, excuse me, I will be talking about you tomorrow. I don't. I don't really seek friendships. I seek obedience towards God.
Yes.
If there's anyone who gave me something and he wants it back because of what I say, you can either call us or publish that demand and evidence, and we'll give you back. We will always speak on God's behalf.
Yes.
The preacher is the mouthpiece of God.
Yes.
The preacher is a servant of God. Anyone who does not question Mr. Chamisa's sincerity towards his position as the president of the opposition in Zimbabwe should actually have to go through a medical examination. We are speaking as an observation that we have made, an observation that is worrisome. Why has Mr. Chamisa not been arrested to date? Is he a nice man? Is he a careful politician? Why haven't we seen Mr. Chamisa in court facing charges of inciting violence, obstructing the course of justice? Why was he not? Why hasn't he been invited by the Anti-Corruption Commission? Because in Zimbabwe, an ordinary crime is being investigated by the Anti-Corruption Commission. A crime that has nothing to do with corruption.
Yes.
This convenient politicking by Mr. Chamisa is highly suspicious. The ruthlessness of ZANU-PF and their blind eye towards Mr. Chamisa, it is too convenient to ignore.
Yes.
Last time I said Mr. Chamisa should shut down his party because people, Zimbabwean citizens' lives are being put at risk by a non-committal political entity that is only focusing on getting into parliament and starting to receive allowances for MPs and vehicles for MPs. When they get into parliament, they get too quiet, like puppies that are licking soup on a bowl. The CCC MPs are sitting in parliament like they don't exist.
Yes.
The noise they make when they are campaigning and the silence that they make when they get into parliament, that variation is a cause for worry to every progressive-minded citizen. Now, I want to suggest that right now, if Mr. Chamisa had been arrested, their party could be doing everything they can to try and help him come out. But they have ignored Mr. Job Sikala, who is languishing there, and they are not doing enough. Trying to visit Mr. Sikala at Shkurubi Maximum Prison, to me, were crocodile tears for Mr. Chamisa.
Yes.
There is so much he could do. When Mo Blessing Ali was murdered, we heard people like Tendai Biti, like Job Sikala, speaking boldly and condemning it clearly that they suspected ZANU-PF. When Mr. Chamisa talks and comments on abductions, murders, human rights abuses of his own party members, he is carefully avoiding sensitive words to make sure that he remains safe. Such a person does not deserve to occupy the position that he occupies today. He is a very, very cowardly man. And his cowardice is not just a cause for concern.
Yes.
It is dangerous. The game he is playing and the repercussions of the manner in which he is playing it are too dire for us, the church, to ignore.
Yes.
We are worried that we are going to continue seeing the murder, the abuses, the torture of our citizens because of politics, whose leader is conveniently running away and avoiding the same challenges that he tells the people that he is willing to go through.
Yes.
Mr. Job Sikala has been arrested too many times, and Mr. Chamisa has never been arrested in that same period. That contrast is worrisome.
Yes.
I know his supporters are going to challenge me, to criticize me and say I have been paid by some people to speak like this. I don't care. I told you I am not ice cream. I don't expect to be loved by everyone. Mr. Chamisa's behavior leaves a lot to be desired. We don't identify with the politicians. We have no permanent friends. We have no permanent enemies.
Yes.
We have a permanent agenda. We speak to you depending on which side you are coming to us from.
Yes.
I can tell you today that if people of Zimbabwe were wise enough, they could actually see a better leader in Job Sikala than in Nelson Chamisa.
Yes.
What he believes, he fights for it to the drop of his blood. He is willing to take a blow for what he believes. Mr. Chamisa is a very calculative man. He's a very safe man. I wish I was Nelson Chamisa. a very safe man. Don't tell me that one day was attacked on his way from the airport. That was just something that he could not avoid. The people that we have that he intends to take power from are bloodthirsty men.
Yes.
Men who are willing to kill. Men who are doing all sorts of atrocities to retain power. For Zimbabweans to think that the person of Chamisa's caliber has the power and what it takes to challenge ZANU-PF's political elite, it's a dream that I pray you wake up from the sooner rather than the later.
Yes.
We condemn the arbitrary arrests that are being done on Zimbabwean citizens, political activists, using the judiciary as its asset. We condemn that as the Church of God. Yes, we condemn that. And we are speaking with a very, very bold voice, and we are not going to back down.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who they are, it doesn't matter where they come from. When things that are ungodly done, when they are done, we are going to speak. If ZANU-PF murders its own political supporters, we will still speak out.
Yes.
Because ZANU-PF owns nobody. There is no human being in Zimbabwe who was created by ZANU-PF.
Yes.
They have no monopoly of human life. Everyone must enjoy the gift of life. It's a gift from God. When I talk like this, I'm speaking from God who created that life. Those people who are being murdered
Yes.
and brutalized every day. We desire that as we talk about our problems and proffer solutions, we may also appear to be serious in what we do. There is a lot of mistakes and childishness in Ms. Chamisa's method of politics. And that is unacceptable because it is costing lives.
Yes.
If it was just something that was done and people just enjoy themselves, we wouldn't worry about it. They are going to suffer the political fallout from practicing inefficient politics. We are worried because it has got a toll on our own safety as Zimbabweans. When CCC people are being brutalized, it is not just their supporters who are attacked. Ordinary passers-by are also attacked. And that's why as the church, we are all going to talk about it. We are going to speak. I could have talked to him privately about this. But there are people's lives that are at stake here. And therefore, the diplomacy and the benefits of that diplomacy do not benefit the people of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
That's where we are going to speak it like this. If you take an offense, go and sleep. In the morning, you feel better. We have lost so many people in Zimbabwe due to this childish method of doing things. There's a lot of childishness around what they are doing.
Oh, yes.
A lot of
Yes,
childishness.
yes.
A lot of immaturity. A lot of kids play with their politics. And it's taxing us a lot.
Yes.
People are talking about elections. But if you look at how they are doing their things, a normal person should not be having high hopes right now towards these guys. Very disorganized and very, very unrealistic and not objective. The challenge you have and your method of tackling the challenge are not matching. It's not fine. It's not right. It's not right.
Kindergarten.
Press conferences and tweets and Facebook blogs and vlogs cannot be seen as serious leadership to a problem that is 42 years old.
Yes.
This is not good. It's embarrassing. It's disappointing. And today, I'm warning Zimbabweans, try to frame your mind to accept and to see the worst happening. If you start to have hopes right now that these guys are going to deliver something next year, 2023, I'm telling you, you are dreaming. If they want to be serious, let them take what I've said now and change the way, their method of doing politics. And it is going to require them to do a lot, including restructuring their leadership.
Yes.
Take away these little children and clowns that they are giving senior positions to just appear in the camera and speak quotes from Aristotle. This is not a movie. This is not Hollywood.
Yes.
This is life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Maturity. Maturity has nothing to do with age.
Yes.
But age plays a role in maturity.
Yes.
Because time gives you experience.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I will speak two more things about these guys. Take what I'm saying down. Let's meet after the election next year. You are going to buy me a drink. Two things that I'm going to talk about. Very important. I'm going to talk about the spies that are sent into the whole country by Absalom, so that he may not find difficulties in usurping power and ascending on the throne. One of the reasons why Mr. Changirai was not able to be successful in deposing Mr. Mugabe on the throne, it was because Mr. Changirai trusted everyone who joined his party, and in the long run, MDC became heavily infested with spies sent by ZANU-PF. And those are structural problems that you cannot solve when you do not know how to establish fail-safe institutions that have the ability to defend themselves against infiltration. I met with Mr. Changirai in 2015. He called me, he wanted to know if he was going to win the 2018 elections. I told him he is not going to win the 2018 elections. He is never meant to be the president of Zimbabwe. And I told him, one of the reasons why you cannot be the president, it is because you have no security at all. You are heavily infiltrated by double dippers. And he said, what do you mean? We try as everything we can do. Sometimes he explained a lot, and I said it's just an example of some of the failures we have. You are trying to replace a system that is highly militarized with the spies that are trained in China and in Russia. How do you think that you can hire a retired police commissioner and make him head of intelligence? What kind of security is that? What security do police officers learn? Police officers are law enforcement agents.
Yes.
They don't provide security.
Yes.
They provide order. But Mr. Changirai's head of intelligence was a retired commissioner from the police. It was just an example. Mr. Chamisa is making the same mistake. He's making the same mistake.
Yeah.
By the time we go to the 2023 election, when they do meetings at 1 o'clock, at 10 past 1, the minutes of that meeting will be in Mr. Mnangagwa's office. That is not good.
Yes.
Yes, they are not serious. Unogona unzi president weparty ukatobhiliva kuti watoo president wenyika.
Yeah.
Our people do not have high hopes, ambitions, and dreams. They are easily satisfied by things that are ordinary. We need leaders who actually want to deliver services to their people.
Yes.
Leaders who do not become quiet when they get a benefit themselves.
Yes.
Those are not leaders. Those are consumers that are masquerading as leaders. It's not good.
Yes.
It's not good. So as I talk now, I'm asking you, what are they going to do to discover the spies that have been planted right now in their party? And it's going to be discovered. Nekufamba kwenguva zvichabuda? Zvichabuda izvo, zvichabuda.
Yes.
Zvichabuda. And some of the names that are going to be fingered in spying against the opposition leadership and giving information to the ruling party, some of the names are going to shock you when that happens. They are going to shock you. The members of parliament and the leaders of MDC who defected to ZANU-PF, if you listen to what they said when they were interviewed, they said, "We are back home." The likes of Obet Gutu, he said, "I'm back home." And nobody asked, which home are you talking about?
Yes.
Uzamunhu akandadzoka kumushaka ima muchifunga kuti kwaanga ari kumusha kwake unofanira kubvunza kuti kwaidi kutaura pesa apa kuti une kumwe kumusha.
Yes.
Munhu akamboita MP ari muopposition ozoenda kunojoina ruling party whose ideologies are diametrically opposed.
Yes.
It's embarrassing for the opposition to have such kind of people holding such high positions. Yes, Mr. Maridadi was Mr. Chiwenga's personal assistant.
Yes.
He is now an ambassador on behalf of ZANU-PF. Those are embarrassing things.
Yes.
Embarrassing developments.
Yeah.
So I will not talk more about this development, but I'm just expanding your understanding. Some of the things you think are going to change our nation, they are just jokes. The second issue is we do not see Mr. Chamisa commenting on matters that really affect the people of Zimbabwe. We don't see that. We don't see him commenting and criticizing the drugs scandal that was exposed by Hopo Chungono. He was quiet.
Yes.
I tell you today that the expulsion of Obadiah Moyo was an admission on the part of the ruling party that what Hopo said was true.
Yes.
Why did Hopo run that issue alone?
Yes.
Who should have been at the forefront of protesting? How can we have a minister of health fingered in such a scandal where the president's children were involved?
Yes.
He has never spoken about it to this day.
Yes.
What exactly does he represent? If corruption that has been exposed, if he can't talk about it. Hope was arrested so many times, but he continued to do that. The man who is saying I'm offering alternative leadership is quiet. Can you imagine? And Richard Square was arrested with gold. They were quiet. They only mention it in passing when they are reading press statements. They do nothing about it. It's worrisome. It's worrisome. What do you stand for? You who are saying you are offering an alternative government, what are you standing for? What are your principles? What are your ideologies? What is your manifesto promising to the people of Zimbabwe? Why can't you do something today to prove that you really mean what you are saying? Politics is not a contestation of words.
Yes.
Good English is not good politics. This is not Britain, this is Africa.
Yes.
You can only confuse dunderheads by speaking borrowed words from so-called scholars and historians. Proper citizens who are wise will not be misguided.
Yes.
They will still hear from your words that you are vain, you are a hypocrite,
Yes.
you are deceptive. You say a lot of things, but you do nothing. That is very worrisome. What has he actually done himself in person to show the Zimbabwean people that he is willing to suffer to provide solutions to their problems, apart from standing behind a pulpit and using a microphone to say good words that are not corroborated by action? Has he been tested enough to show us that he has the ability to lead a nation? A leader leads from the front,
Yes.
not from the back.
Yes.
Mr. Chamisa is at the last row at the back.
Yes.
He's pointing kunari kumberi kuti tenai makadai, tenai kuleft. Kana marohwa munozotidedzera kunoku tinotizane kunoku. Leadership yacho inokataza. Kuna leadership yakadaro. We speak and we sometimes correct the state. We are even bolder than they are themselves.
Yes.
There are people who are now coming to us to hear from us what should be done. But we are not offering them a political leadership. We are simply telling them the principles of godliness. We should do this, we should not do that.
Yes.
And there are others who are suggesting that we join politics. We can't join politics. If we join politics, who will preach? If I become a politician myself, I need another man of God to start showing me the way of God.
Yes.
It's not meant to be like that. Let them do politics, and we will tell you where they are getting it wrong.
Yes.
And what they should do right. That's our job. Tikajoina politics akanozvaudza ndiani. Izvo zvindikaita MP muridzi wepati iyoyo atova bosi wangu. Ina handibvumidzwa kuita mumwe munhu bosi kaini.
Yes.
Ndina bosi kudhara.
Yes.
Saka ndotaura ndiri kuno. Imi itai ikoko. Asi kana maakuita zvamunoita tichakuudzai kuti Mwari anoda kuti muzviite so. Mukakanganisa mukaisa upenyu hwevanhu panjodzi tokuudzai. Mune nzara, hamusoda kutungamira vanhu. Mune nzara.
Yeah.
As I talk to you right now, if these guys are offered an inclusive government where Mr. Chamisa is going to be given the prime minister's position, I can assure you he is going to take it. And he's never going to worry about the people of Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm judging him from what he has done so far. In this regard, Mr. Chiwenga was much better. He was not afraid.
Yes.
Zviri nani utikuona uchitiza but wamboendaka.
Yes.
Unoendawo nzibata uyu uchimhanya kudarika vanhu vachiti uri kutiza uya nekunoku vanokubata. Zvinonogara uri kumashure shuro chingotenda ine koko. Kana mapurisa aendawo yobva wachichidisira pulpit nditaurisa iwe kuti vari kuuya here. Tinozviramba zvavari kuita izvozvo. Obva waenda kunohwanda. Wangu uri kupinda zuro tichirohwa panapa. tairohwa nekuda kwako kuti wakatituma wanga usipo takarohwa tega svonzo rakapera futi takarohwa usipo indava kuchenjera here ikoko hakuzi kuchenjera. Yeah, he needs to man up. He is too cowardly. Kana wafunga kutungamira nyika unofanirwa kutozvisainira death certificate rako wega. Tamai mwana ndakuenda ndikadzoka ndisipo death certificate ndozvinoitwa nemunhu anoziva zvaakaita izvo. You can't say you want to protect your life at all costs. It's not acceptable. If he wants to do it that way, then let everyone do it that way. At the end, everyone is a hypocrite. Nobody dies. More blessing Ali was a woman. She was brutalized. That's not acceptable. So these are the things that I wanted to say. Let's watch out for Ahithophel. The advice that Ahithophel is giving is not right. Ahithophel is gone wrong. Who is Ahithophel? I don't know. Find out who is Ahithophel. But there's a lot of scheming happening right now. And there are people who are scheming a lot. If God doesn't help us, we are going to get into a fresh turmoil. And it's going to be messy. It's going to be messy. I want to conclude by saying, when I say things like this, people take offenses. They say he wants to insult adults. I told you some time ago that among the people you call adults, I haven't seen an adult among those people. Tell me the characteristics of an adult and convince me that they are elders. Tell me the behavior of an elder and prove to me that those people we are rebuking are elders. To me, tell me. So when I rebuke, when I speak out, when I call to order, when I correct, when I reprimand, when I bring an instruction from God, I speak with authority delegated from God. When I occupy that office, there is no human being under the sun who is an elder to me at that particular time. If we meet in the village, I may call you my brother, my elder. But when you see me holding this mic and speaking on behalf of God, there is no elder to Apostle Chiwenga. I may sound rude, but that's the truth. So, if you are wise, come and ask, why have you spoken the way you have done? And we will give you counsel that will make you wiser. We will give you counsel that will cause you to correct your mistakes. And if you come openly with the right approach, we will advise you. And we will not tell the whole world that we have advised you. We don't. But when we see that you don't listen or you don't want to listen, we will use our God-given platform to address you. Yes, that's what we do. I wrote a letter to Mr. Mugabe on the 5th of June, 2017. If Mr. Mugabe had called me to his office as I had requested, he would not have remained in office until November, where he was embarrassed by his proteges. They removed him from office in a very, very violent way and in a very, very embarrassing way. When we saw that they are not responding, we started speaking on public platforms. And people said, why don't you ask to meet with them privately? We have done that so many times. Some of them, they don't listen. So, I want to say this. There are people who have a capacity to correct the mistakes they've done in the past, if they decide to listen. People like us, you can't bribe me to stop talking because I've never asked money from anyone.
Yes.
We preach because God said we should preach.
Yes.
As you can see, I don't look hungry. You see,
Yes.
you can't really think that you can give me $10,000 and shut my mouth. You can't bribe me. It's not possible. You see, just listen to what we are saying.
Yes.
When you correct yourself, you are going to do better. And you are going to have a better reputation.
Yes.
When you do well, people are going to credit you for doing well.
Yes.
We will never come out and say, we advised him to do well. That's not what we are here to do. We are not politicians. We don't seek glory.
Yes.
When we do well, we give glory to Jesus.
Yes.
We don't take the glory for what we do. Yes. So I'm going to speak with very few words. And I'm not doing this because I'm afraid. You know, I have not shunned talking about anyone. I've spoken about the president. I've spoken to the vice president. Those are the most feared people in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
I spoke to them when I was standing at First Street, and I dared them to kill me if they wanted to kill me. They tried to kill me twice. I am here because of Jesus.
Yes.
Not because they are not good. They were good, but of course they can't be better than my
Oh,
Lord.
yes. Yes.
And there are people who think that my absence from Zimbabwe is a sign of fear. They say, you said you are not afraid of dying. Why did you run? Of course, those are idiots. And we love them because they show that this is what is causing all this disorder we have in our country. When I left Zimbabwe, I was not running away from ZANU-PF. I went out because I wanted to get medical attention. I was heavily injured. I had life-threatening injuries. And I could not get medical attention in Zimbabwe because our hospitals are also used to harm enemies of the state in Zimbabwe. So I left. When I said I'm not afraid to die, I didn't say I want to die. That's not what I said.
Yes.
Soldiers go to war because they are not afraid to die. But some of them, they wear bulletproof vests.
Yes.
You can't ask them, why are you ducking the bullets if you are not afraid to die?
Yes.
I am ducking the bullets because I want to continue to fight. I'm fighting for a cause.
Yes.
If I offer myself and surrender myself, it's suicide. Soldiers do not point the gun at themselves to shoot themselves to prove they are not afraid of dying. No. When we protect ourselves, it's not a sign of fear. It's actually a sign of bravery. We are not tired of fighting. We are going to fight for godliness, for righteousness, for what is right, for the safety of every Zimbabwean. We are speaking right now.
Yes.
And if things change, every Zimbabwean is going to benefit.
Yes.
Yes. We don't speak for ourselves. We speak for God.
Yes.
And we speak for the things that bring change to every Zimbabwean citizen. And I am not afraid of meeting with everyone. Anyone, I can meet with them. If Mr. Mnangagwa calls me today, I'll go and meet with them. If Mr. Chiwenga calls me today, I'll go and talk to him. I have no friends. I'm only a servant of God.
Yes.
If we can rebuke them after they've made mistakes, we can also advise them
Yes.
so that they can avoid making mistakes. That is even a better way of dealing with them.
Yes.
You are trying to do this, we can do it this way. They don't make mistakes, we don't rebuke them. And then everything is going to work for the good of the ordinary citizen. So do not think that we are wasting time with what we are doing. We are not. We are not. If Mr. Chiwenga had known what actually he could have done on the day Mr. Mugabe resigned, he was going to have he was going to have a reputation. He was going to be a hero in Zimbabwe. Because he would have been used by God to restore the rule of law, constitutionalism, proper democracy in the nation. But that's not what he has done. Mr. Mugabe made mistakes. His replacement has made more mistakes than Mr. Mugabe. Yes, every sober-minded person cannot compare Mr. Mnangagwa and Mr. Mugabe and come up with a conclusion that Mr. Mnangagwa is doing better unless you have smoked some very strong weed. As I talk to you right now, if he wants, he can actually do something that can change the trajectory of his reputation, of his legacy. I'm talking about Mr. Chiwenga. Yes. But the problem he's going to face is the Ahithophel problem. So Ahithophel is a serious problem in Zimbabwe. Advisors. There are three kinds of advisors in this world.
Yes.
The first type of advisors are those who tell you what you need to hear. And then there are those who tell you what you want to hear. And there are those who tell you what they want to achieve themselves. The Ahithophels. They ask you, they advise you to take certain actions which they know they are going to cause disasters. When investigations are done after the fact, you are going to be the one to blame. Because when things are done wrongly, the one who takes responsibility is the one who actually did, who acted on what was done.
Yes.
And not those who advised. If he could find the right advisement, he has a capacity to be an accessory in having a nation that takes a different trajectory.
Yes.
He has his own weaknesses with power, which gets quickly into his head. But there are bigger problems in Zimbabwe right now than that.
Yes.
You see, Zimbabwe ine problem yakafana nekuti pane nduri yegarwe, poita jiki, poita parafini. Hapana mvura. Zvokuti dzimwe nguva unototi ndipe zvangu jiki mbichana. Ndipe jiki mbichana kana parafini. Ndo ndimborarama. Ndogozochaya zvangu ndoona toita sei. Ndo situation yatinayo.
Yes.
I think mazwe kuti nduri yegarwe andashandisa zvangoitikawo handina unge ndakazvironga. Sometimes you have to pick a lesser devil when you are faced with many devils.
Yes.
He has a capacity to be advised properly and to correct certain mistakes. Some of the mistakes he has made are not going to be correctable. They have permanent effects. But there are mistakes that can be corrected. Zvandiri kutaura ndendatumwa naMwari ndoregerere kuzvitaura. It is very wrong of him to think that I hate him. No, I don't. The first day I started talking about him, if he had listened and called me, even in that rage, in that fury, he could have said, bring him.
Yes.
Let him tell me why he says it like this.
Yes.
Does he hate me? Why? I would have talked to him. Don't look at my age. Don't look at my natural blood. I am a servant of God. As far as my spiritual identity is concerned, we are not related.
Yes.
I belong to God. You don't. Let me advise you on what God wants.
Yes.
These are the things why I am saying you are not qualified to execute this. As we talk now, if you look in retrospect, you can see the mistakes that are committed, and they will attest to what I had said earlier on. Those are mistakes. People make mistakes, but you can correct mistakes. You can listen, and you can change the trajectory of your life. What does it help you to be adamant and end up making the mistakes that have been made for the past 1,000 years? My mistakes are 1,000 years old. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes.
This is an old adage that is more than 500 years old. This is what they are doing, corrupted by power and believing that you are now superhuman. You can't run a nation by giving orders to people to listen to you all the time, even when you are not well informed on the right decisions to make. Do you know that advisement also plays a role on choosing advisors? You need an advisor to help you to choose an advisor.
Yes.
Brother Nelson,
Yes.
what did I say?
You need an advisor.
You need an advisor.
Yes, to even help you choose an advisor.
Yes, thank you, Brother Nelson. You need an advisor to help you choose an advisor.
Yes.
If you say, I can choose my own advisors, you are going to make a mistake.
Yes.
Ahithophel is a new cancer that has entered the Zimbabwean political landscape. There are Ahithophels in our streets. If God doesn't help us, mistakes are going to be done very soon. And this woman shall continue to be haunted, terrorized, yet violated. We are going to get to a place where our people are going to give less attention to political demigods and focus on political solutions. We have political demigods where people formulate one individual and they say, Mr. So-and-so is the reason of all my miseries, and Mr. So-and-so is my hope of all my fortunes. That approach is not working, especially in Africa. It's going to require a collective approach, not an individual approach. This collective approach is causing people to become thick-headed, to tell themselves that I am the political party myself in my own right. Everyone will dance to my tune. People are supposed to advise him. They no longer have any room to advise him. He tells them, you are my enemies. You want to take over my position. I fought hard to be where we are today. This is my position. No one will take it from me. I got it from God. God sent men of God to rebuke those he had appointed.
Yes.
David was a man after God's heart.
Yes.
But when he made a mistake, Nathan rebuked him.
Yes.
Yes. He was rebuked in broad daylight.
Yes.
If you think that God can love you until he can't rebuke you, you are dreaming. My hope is Mr. Chamisa Mumwachit. ED is my hope. These are political demigods.
Yes.
This approach is not going to work. It's just euphoria, craziness, fanaticism.
Yes.
It doesn't change anything. A nation is not a tuck shop. It's a nation.
Yes.
It needs many hands, many minds to be put together to build a direction of where we are going.
Yes.
If you see that this person does not listen to his peers, it's a cause for concern. It's a cause for concern. We are going to come back and continue with our service. Stay with us.